Hey guys, welcome to my third episode. Today I'll be presenting to you Hashgraph, but also a good update about Bitcoin itself and the cryptocurrency world. Right now, it's actually not so bad. It's not bad as I thought it was, but I'm hoping it will probably, as far as I know, is the Bitcoin will go down a little bit more. It's finally making that curve, right? But it's still possible to see the way Bitcoin could go down. So let's take a good look. I'll share my screen. So let's see. I want to expand this, so let's expand it. So right now, this is, let's see, yeah. So this is gonna be the first day of 24 hours of Bitcoin. Um, so it kind of looks like we're possibly curving. I think we're actually at the curve right now at this moment. So Bitcoin itself, right? Looking at the stairs, a technical analysis does. Right. This is actually I was thinking this was possibly a correction. Looking at many YouTubers, a lot of influencers, a lot of readings I've done. It's the growth is actually now they're correcting itself for how much inflation the price is of Bitcoin. Um, and even though Bitcoin is very volatile, right? Um, we are starting to see as getting more popularity than ever. Long-time investors, reputable investors, companies, banks, investment firms are starting to actually going to join in and basically approve Bitcoin very potentially. But maybe it won't be Bitcoin actually. It could actually be accepting the cryptocurrency world, and that's what I'm trying to see. I think Bitcoin is a spearhead of all things for the cryptocurrency. It's known. It's considered as gold right now because it cannot be regenerated. It can only be found doing complex math and information and data gathering. But it also it's a form of gold of the internet. Why? It's because just like gold, right? It's still heavy. It's hard to bring, but it's fungible, right? Gold it still retains value. It's scarce now. It's very, as far as I know, I think it's like we're 18 billion out of a 21 billion um, like Bitcoin. So we're very close to depleting or mining Bitcoin. Um, okay, so I know I've been tangent everywhere. So let's look at the price chart, and I'll go back into about Bitcoin, about Earth schemes of things. So let me erase it. So that's a normal. So that's only a 24-hour price chart of Bitcoin, right? And it's still going down a bit. So I think we made the curve. So I will show you. So this is the fifth day. Show you a whole week itself, right? And you can see again, Bitcoin has the stairs, right? So we can do it one more time. Stairs up, stairs down, and flattening, right? So 1, 2, and 3, right? So once you see that, right, it can be a good guess actually. So it can be a guess that we can see it keep going down more, or once we're at this curve actually, right? Um, it's going to shoot up once more. So I'll explain to you why it's going to shoot up more. I do apologize for the background. One of my uncles is fixing the deck from the backyard, so there's gonna be a lot of drilling in the background. Um, Now let's do to a month, right? So this is actually a very perfect graph. I do want to like speculate. As a long-term investor, it's good to look at a monthly or even like every 6 months. It's not a bad thing. Um, so I remember it was a time in January, right? And it was at what the price chart? 36.3K at that time, right? Or 37. And it slowly kept it going up and up and up, right? So this is no different of going down as compared to this, right? When this hits its peak, right, at the 34 chart, it went down, just took a quick dip and then flash up, right? So what we're saying is just a magnifying scale of Bitcoin gonna skyrocket. So either it's gonna make that very traditional curve. So what we're kind of predicting, right, is these are two options I'm saying it. One is gonna go flat down more, not extremely like that, how not like this exactly, but more so, I guess, keep going down like this a bit more, right? Probably around the percent, probably is going to lose 20 to 25%. And by investors is actually a 25% is a great discount, really a great discount for price itself. Hold and buy and keep buying the average. It's in the long-term game, we are going to win. We are going to see that 100K pretty soon. And as you can see again, right? So this right here will be very equivalent to this, right? So this chart, right, from that price itself could actually be very similar to this, right? So it can go down a little bit more, or right, it could be like this where it curves. And when it curves, it actually means there's a lot more growing, a lot more. I prefer the curve more because even though it's a little bit long, the duration, there's not instant satisfaction. It actually really shows that when there's a curve, there's a staircase. So let's go again, 6 months, right? So, man, at one point I was making thousands. So yeah, it was at 59 at one point, almost 60K, and it really fell. And so this is what's happening right now, actually, right? So a curve or a staircase, you can say, right? Another staircase, but because of the quick jump from here and here, right? I think from Tesla and other big investors, the valuation was a bit too much, and I think some people in the market of crypto world, they sold up their Bitcoin. So I guess they were satisfied enough to cash out. So enough of Bitcoin. Let's talk about Hashgraph. So I'm going back and forth about Hashgraph and Bitcoin, but Derek Hashgraph, it's one of my biggest portfolio. Besides Ethereum and Bitcoin and Litecoin, Hashgraph would be the alternative coin. I say, or another cryptocurrency, where it's very much a competitor, a competition to Bitcoin and other rival. Right now it's at 11%. So let's pull up the price chart. Hashgraph price chart. And this is a great buy. I'm actually gonna buy some more. It's actually at 11%. About one point, it was at what was it? It was close to 15%, 15 cents, right? So if you put thousands, 1100, you're going like I did, right? You're going to get basically most of your money back when it hits to 15 cents again. Um, and this is only a correction or more so like a dip again, which it only cuts out 20%. But after that dip, right, it's gonna go back strong again, just like Bitcoin itself, right? Oops, I showed you guys too much. Okay, so what I'm telling you about Hashgraph. So Hashgraph is very important to understand what's going on. It's one of the other functionality of not blockchain, but of a ledger itself, right? So usually a ledger of a blockchain, right? It's a big blockchain configured or modified for things to verified work, extraction of data, real data, basically a peer review, right? Consistent. But unfortunately, with Bitcoin, right, maybe the first or maybe one of the first, um, What I don't like is the energy efficiency. So later on, if the world does, if the big worlds like China, Russia, Europe, as the EU, Australia, and the US, right, and Brazil, if majority of the big stake countries accept Bitcoin and accept cryptocurrency, this is actually a pretty good sign for people who are already into cryptocurrency. Since you already at the start, right? We have a big leg up. If it doesn't work, then we have lost substantial or we have lost some money, but it's not the end of the world. That's a risk I'm paying at a young age. Since I have more time, I'm willing to pay for the price of the time I did lose. But as I get older, right, I have to be very conservative. As for you, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is my thought. This is my opinion. So with Bitcoin itself, right, it's using a lot of energy, way too much energy to be a ledger, to collect data, to store data, to retain its value, just to operate. And can you imagine 10.94 kilotons electrical energy comparable to consumption of Chile, right? Carbon footprint of New Zealand, right? It's basically a small island. That amount of money is a small island, right? But just I can't imagine how much it would cost to operate um, different type of currency for the rest of the world, especially in the US. I don't know how much, but I definitely think it's a lot more over time, um, and materials and energy usage than Bitcoin. But still, Bitcoin. I mean, we live in 2021, the year 2021, and that's why Bitcoin is pretty obsolete. Technology is growing really quickly and advanced quickly, and with Bitcoin, it may be a like .com bubble, right? Maybe like the AOL or the Blockbuster, that very sensitive value that holds and that we always want to visit, that we always cherish of like just renting the movies or just cherish the brand itself, right? Now what we're seeing of other cryptocurrency being far more efficient, right, and available, and it's more important to see the big picture that Bitcoin won't be the winner as it is, as the place, as a display. I mean, but you can still ride it. There's still a lot of growth, and when that time growth, there'll be ups of it. Hopefully, hopefully I post a video beforehand to help you guys out. Okay, so let's do into the Hashgraph itself, right? So Hashgraph is great. It's continuous, right? So there you got majority of the world players. So you got Boeing, you got IBM, you got Google, you got UCL, University College of London. That's a pretty reputable school. You got T-Mobile, right? You got LG, right? So you got nonprofit colleges, corporations, communication, internet product corporations. You got all of these corporations and other organization. I mean, that are being part of the governed crypto world. Now, it sounds kind of like a new world of like country, and it is. It kind of really is in the internet world, right, or in the crypto world. So let's look at Hashgraph. So can you imagine, right? It says Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? These are only small digit numbers. So Bitcoin can only do three trans per act, three transaction per second, 12 transaction per second, right? For Hedera as a technology, new technology, 10,000 transaction per second. And look at the average fee price when you transfer or when you use it or for anything. It is 4 decimal away. It's already a flat fee for $3 already for using the currency of Bitcoin or Ethereum. And it's very unfortunate that we see Bitcoin still a dominant player. I'm still surprised, that the rest of the world hasn't catch up yet. But like I said, right, looking at the price chart again, back at Hashgraph, It was at 15 cents, right? And it was a really steady growth, just very similar like Bitcoin. And so we can kind of see that Bitcoin will be go. So do hold it, some of it, but I don't think it's um worth in the long run as much because I rather have efficiency or the retain of value. The retained value is from the efficiency itself, right? So that's another thought to think about. Um, Now, going back to the market, right? I do want to talk about some of my information where I got it from, right? So I got it from Mike Maloney. If you watch Bitcoin to Heather Hashgraph, he did explain much about Bitcoin and Hashgraph on why Hashgraph is one of the leading popular alternative coins, cryptocurrency in the world. And it's I really admire Mike Maloney for showing this amount of knowledge of financial literacy, but also macroeconomics of the world. So, what else I'm trying to say? Oh, there you go. So don't be scared. Bitcoin has a lot more room to grow, right? So I would only be scared, right? And do pull out. When it's time to pull out, I would say this price chart, right? Let's go to the 1 year, 5 year. It's gonna make very similar pattern, shape, and size. Um, Very similar, not exact, but you can see the dip already, right? So you can see, where's my pen? Oh, there it is. You can see the dip, one. So I'm gonna draw it for you guys. So look at it. Look, oh, let me change the colors, make it easier on my eyes and your guys' eyes. So Bitcoin still has a lot of leg. We're at this point. We're literally at this point. I think we're good for now. We're pretty much good. Even though we lost 20% of our gains from 2 weeks ago or to a month ago, there's still some substantial growth. Looking at using my technical analysis. Now, there's an if, though. There's an if, big if. We're in red danger if this makes another sharp up. When that shows you, when that sharp up comes up again, right? Um, that's a big concern because just like this, I'm gonna magnify it. When it went up and went down, right? There's a gap, then it went up again, right? I call it a two claw, basically. And in some analysis, when you see the market, right, you see at the last strand, it comes like this, actually, right? So I guess with Bitcoin, right, it has its own variation of the dip, and this is what I'm very concerned about. So Bitcoin does have that sharp claw. So if it extends longer going down and it went up again as a sharp claw, um, that is a very potential bad sign that Bitcoin has is gonna fall and crash pretty hard. But luckily, still have hope. The financial banks and reserve is still at a 2.5 interest rate or even 0% interest rate right now. So we're still good. Our economy is still booming. Um, Not like back in 2017 to 2019. But for now, these are only panic sellers, right? So the reason why it's keep going down is because the panic sell, and ignore that. Eventually, Bitcoin will go back up to 58 to close to 60K again. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So let's recaps again, right? Let me just clear this out. So Hashgraph, do some study about Hashgraph, why it's a very potential and big buy to invest in. I think their Hashgraph has a possibility of changing the world. Probably learn some coding actually too. That could actually help you make your own website using their Hashgraph as a way to buy currency, another type of currency from rest of the world, right? Watch Mike Maloney's episode, right, from Bitcoin to their Hashgraph documentary, episode 8. It's one of the best episodes. At least you can understand what's going on um, with Bitcoin and Hashgraph. And then do you understand the price chart where we're at, right? So, like I said, from here to tip, we're so good and went back up again, just like this. So we're gonna be at the curve. So we're going to be in the action of the curve again before it goes up. And when it goes up, you're most likely going to double to triple amount of your money. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I mean this third YouTube channel, third YouTube video, I mean. Have a good day and stay safe, guys.